Hi, my name's Daniel, and I am living with bipolar type 2 rapid cycling. Now, it's been a beast. I've been dealing with it for as far back as I can remember. When I was 10 years old, I tried to commit suicide. So I'm 25 now. I've been dealing with it for at least 15 years. And from all of that experience, I've come up with a few tips and tricks that I want to share with all of you out there that may be dealing with the same thing. Now, I'm going to divide them up into two different groups, the depression and the mania. Now, I understand as type 2, I've never officially experienced like a full all out mania, which type 1 has to deal with. But um, what I deal with is technically called hypomania. But for simplicity's sake, I'm going to call it mania. So, starting off with depression. Depression, first off, is horrible. Now, you could be having a perfectly happy day, things could be going great, and then all of a sudden, when you fall into depression, life sucks. There's no point in going on, just everything is pointless. There's nothing that brings you joy. You just have this crushing pain inside of you and just in sheer misery. And it seems like it's going to last forever because it just comes on and then it just kind of sits there. So the hardest thing to do with depression is recognizing that you are in a depression state. Once you recognize that you're in depression, then you can manage it. At least that's the way it is for me. So the first step is recognizing you're in depression. So how do you do that? Well, the way that I do it is I've kind of customized a set of questions that I ask myself. Now, I got this from a test I got a while back. I don't remember what it was called, but it was filled with questions that were like on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being I'd hate it, 4 being I'd love it, rate how you would react to the smell of freshly baked bread or seeing a sunrise or seeing other people smile. And so the way that it worked was if there were more than 2 questions that you didn't want, then you were depressed. And so I kind of customized that for myself. So I'm an atmospheric science major at my university. So I have things in my set of questions like how would I enjoy seeing a tornado, or looking at the cloud formations, or analyzing snow crystals, or it's kind of nerdy, I understand, but what you need to do is you need to customize it for yourself. Find things that on a normal day you would absolutely love, things that you're passionate about, things that there's nothing that you would rather do, and then make those your questions. And then if you ask yourself the questions and you go, yeah, I don't want to do that, or no, that doesn't sound interesting at all, when you would normally be absolutely stoked for it, then you can know that you're in a depression state. So now you have to determine if you're just in a depression or if you're in a bipolar depression. So the way that I like to do that is I just simply go, okay, life sucks. I recognize I'm depressed. Why am I depressed? And then I just think about everything going on in my life and try and figure out why I'm depressed. Now, a lot of times with bipolar depression, things can be going great, and there's very little going on in my life that is bad. And so I will feel absolutely miserable. I'll feel like it's the end of the world, and I'll go, well, I just got 90% on a test. I just got this internship. See, my uncle's having this, just all of this great stuff. And I'll be miserable, and so I can know this is a bipolar depression. Now, there have been times where it's like, oh, I just failed a test, or I just broke up with someone, and then you go, okay, these are major events. It's probably due to that. And essentially, it's a good reflective exercise, because if you're not in a bipolar depression, then you know what's causing it, and you can start to work on it. You can talk with friends, and you can work it out. But if it's a bipolar depression, then the next step is to just manage it. And, well, I hate to say it, but Really, the best thing to do to manage it is just stick it out. Now, I know that's the most cliched thing in the world, but the beautiful thing about bipolar depression is that it's not like regular depression. It has an end. Now, we may not know, it could be like 2, 3 days, it could be a week or two, but we know that it has an end. And so once you know you're in a bipolar depression, you know it's going to end, which is what your mind is telling you that it's not going to do. Your mind will say, this is going to last forever. There is no end in sight. But when you can really grab on to the knowledge that this is because of bipolar, then you can know that it's going to end. And for me, that gives me enough strength to go about my everyday activities, to just put a smile on my face, even though everything on the inside is just melting in misery. But put a smile on for everyone else so that I can be that good person, so that I can still appear to be the person I normally am. And that way, the depression doesn't affect the rest of my life. And yes, it's miserable. Yes, it's hard. But knowing what's happening gives me so much more power. And so when I can recognize that, then it helps me to manage it. So that's what I have for depression. Now for mania. This one is a beast. This one, mania, alters the way that I view reality. All of the resolves I have, all of the things that I'm like, I'm not going to do, all of the things that, I've got plans for the long term, all of that's out the window. I've got ideas, I've got plans that I just made on the spot. I'm going to do them. This is a good idea, I'm going to go for it. This is cool, I'm going to go for it. Oh, this is shiny, I'm going to buy it. That's the way that my mind works, essentially. I just have all of these ideas that just spin through my mind, and so I have to do them. Now, about 5 years ago, I was keeping a journal. I don't keep it anymore. I really should, but I was keeping this journal, and I went into one of my manic episodes. And I looked back at my journal about a year later, and I realized, oh my gosh, there it is. In my journal, 2 days before it happened, I wrote that everything was just sort of strange. It was just surreal. Just something was really off in the world, and I didn't understand it. And it said that I felt like I had just ran a marathon, but instead of physical fatigue, it was mental and spiritual fatigue. And so, using this, I realized that there is a time before my major episodes, about 2 days before, where everything just feels surreal. And so now, when I have that, I empty out all the money from my checking account. I put it in my savings. I withdraw about $50 in small bills so that I have physical cash that I can spend. that way, I'm limited by something that's tangible. These are just some things that work for me. Emptying out all the money out of my savings account, just kind of, I'll give my debit card to a friend that I trust, and that way I kind of manage the things that normally happen. Now, a trick that I actually just discovered just this past fall is that if I have something set up, a creative outlet, something that I have free reign to just do whatever I want on, something creative, something worthwhile. Like in this case, I was building a website. Yeah, everything else went to crap. All of my grades, all of my classes, they all went out the window. But I didn't do stupid stuff. I didn't do things that I've done in the past which have ruined my life. And I've had to declare bankruptcy, and I'm 25 and I've already had to do that. So having this creative outlet kept me from having to really worry about going out and doing stupid things, because I had all these ideas and I was able to do something with it. So living with bipolar requires a lot of maintenance, constantly I have to constantly be checking in to determine how I feel, determine what state my mind is in. Um, I've worked a lot with my doctors. I'm on some really good medication now. It's taken years and years to really get a good mixture of meds. I'm on lithium, trileptal, Seroquel, and I think that's it. Yeah, lithium, Seroquel, and trileptal. And those are the three I'm on for bipolar. And I've worked it out with my doctor so that one of them I can just take a higher dosage when I feel something coming on. And so constantly checking in with myself helps me to know what state I'm in. It's a daily thing. I always have to be asking myself, how do I feel today? How do I feel now? And what's going on inside of me? Living with bipolar is like living with diabetes. You have to be on it constantly. It's no walk in the park, but staying on top of it makes it so that I can have a better life. I can have lots of great things going on in my life. And I'm in a much better place now than I was many years ago. And so, anyways, these are just some of the tips that I have, some of the tricks I wanted to share with all of you out there. If you have any more tricks or any more tips, things that you've come across throughout your years of experience, things that you do to help manage those moments when you're hypomanic or when you're depressed, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you. Farewell.